thank you for joining us. Tonight, we're just going to be discussing a roadmap to working in Australia. I know many of you, we haven't had any kind of formal introduction or interaction with each other, but tonight serves as a little bit of an introduction to what a pathway would look like for you guys looking at the option to make the move. Many of you are still considering this. You're in the beginning stages. Australia is one of your destinations, if not a prime destination for you to want to immigrate. So this is a fantastic initial step, and I really do thank each and every one of you for joining tonight and taking this step with me. So who are we and what sets us apart? I work with Dizon and Associates. Dizon and Associates is an Australian immigration law firm as well as an international recruitment company. Okay. The company is founded by Paul Dizon, who is an Australian based in Australia. Our initial office or our main office is based in Melbourne in Australia, and my line that I love to use is because a lot of the companies that we work with really do favor South Africans, favor individuals from the Southern African region. We do have our beautiful offices in Cape Town, which we use to facilitate our interaction between all of you guys and me and the rest of the team, as well as companies in Australia. Okay. Our company is a registered migration agency. Paul Dizon himself is an OMARA registered agent. What that means is the way that we work and anything we do on your behalf and how we assist you is governed by Australian compliance. Okay. We need to adhere to certain rules. We need to adhere to certain structures, certain processes. We need to do things right. We cannot take any shortcuts. We can't, do those kinds of things. We have to do what is right and ethically proven for your success. Okay. If things go wrong, then you have that direct channel to the Australian government. By using an OMARA agent, you have that route in terms of having a line to complain. Okay. Paul Dizon is also an immigration lawyer, so any kind of challenges, any kind of difficulties, any kind of worries that you may have, those are all also processes that we can kind of address as we go through the application. So any kind of health challenges, if you are worried, if you are HIV positive, if you have some sort of chronic condition, if one of your children or your spouse or someone has a certain ailment that you kind of feel that, oh my gosh, I don't know if Australia is a possibility for us, we can have those discussions, we can touch on that, and we can look at what a game plan looks like, and if the process is possible. Okay. It's important for us to discuss these things from the get-go because, it's better prevention is better than cure, guys. Okay. Also, any kind of character issues. So maybe you did a little bit something when you were younger that you should not have, and you are worried about that. Again, things that we can address. Okay. We are really focused on compliance. So because a lot of what we do is governed by Australian laws, we copy those principles over into what we do on a daily basis in South Africa. So even if our rules are a little bit more flexible here, we try to do what is expected from us within Australia and really focus on doing what's best for you and your goals. We have also got employer partnerships. So what this means is we get to work with some amazing companies in Australia that are looking for amazing individuals like yourselves. And these companies offer sponsorship, and this is something that I will touch on a little bit later in the presentation. So, demand in Australia. Tonight we will be focusing on trades as well as teachers. There is a huge demand within the trades sector. We are currently recruiting within that sector as well, which I will also touch on within the recruitment side of this discussion. But in terms of trades, you have demand within construction infrastructure. So your welders, your bricklayers, anyone that is good in terms of building infrastructure, there is a need for them. Mining resources, manufacturing, engineering, renewable energy. So your electricians, anyone with solar experience. Guys, we've been sitting in load shedding for how long? It's time to go to Australia. All of a sudden, load shedding is relatively gone. So now's the time to open up the horizons and go and see where else it's dark so that you can bring light. Teachers also, huge demand for teachers. Within the different phases, your early childhood development are in the highest demand currently. Your secondary school teachers are also in demand, primary school teachers, so it really doesn't matter what kind of age group you are qualified to teach, there is a demand for you, okay? There are these projected shortages of over 4,000 teachers. However, currently there's about just over 6,000 vacant positions for ECD teachers, just over 2,000 vacant positions for primary, and about 1,200 positions for secondary. Okay. For your trades, guys, also huge demand. Fitters, you're looking at about not 6,000, actually 11,000 vacant currencies as of today in Australia. Boilermakers, just under 6,000. Electricians, guys, just under 20,000 job availabilities in Australia. Welders, carpenters, between 8,000 and 5,000. So really, there are good demands within your areas. Okay. Now, when you are considering the move to Australia, there are some things that you need to take into account. There is qualifying criteria that you need to be able to meet in order to have those requirements met so that you can go through a process and be a viable candidate. Okay. We like to touch on this qualifying criteria because it's important for you to know what needs to happen in order for you to have a good chance. Okay. For teachers, you need to hold a bachelor's degree in education or a PGCE. So if you hold a degree in something else and you've qualified with a PGCE, you're good to go. Okay. You need a minimum of 1 year of work experience within a qualified age group, or the age group that you have qualified in. So if you're a foundation phase teacher, you need a minimum of a year. If you are a primary school teacher, you need a minimum of a year. And the same goes for secondary. Okay. Now, the recruitment partner that we work with, they do want teachers to have 3 years of work experience. Okay. So if you don't have those 3 years yet, that is fine. Have a look at the information that I'm going to provide. And if Australia is something that is a goal of yours, then let's work towards obtaining that criteria so that you can move forward at the correct point in time. Okay. Now, the reason why I say there's a 1 year minimum experience is because that is what is required for a working visa. By law, in any field, so not just teachers, not just trades, not just, anyone. If you want to obtain a working visa, you need to have a year of work experience within the field that you will obtain this working visa for. Okay. So you cannot be a teacher, get a job in Australia from your aunt that wants you to come there and be an eyelash technician, but you've never glued anything. Okay. It has to be relevant to the experience that you have. Okay. Now, when we look at what is required for teachers as well, there is a practical teaching assessment that needs to happen. It is a paper-based assessment, and in terms of that, what we look at is your qualifications, your work experience, and as part of that process, also an IELTS English test. Okay. It is called a skill assessment because what we are doing is we're assessing the skill you have as an educator. Now, when it comes to trades, it's a little bit different because trades need to have their skill assessment as well. And in order for them to get a skill assessment, you need to have as a licensed trade. So licensed trade is an electrician, a plumber, and an air conditioning mechanic. Anyone outside of those three trades is deemed as an unlicensed trade. Okay. So if you are one of those three trades, then you need to have 4 years of work experience if you have a trade test, if you have a red seal, if you have a formal qualification. If you do not have a formal qualification and you are semi-skilled, you need 5 years of work experience. Okay. So don't write off Australia for trades if you don't have a red seal, if you don't have a formal qualification. With the right work experience, it is still an option for you. Okay. Anyone else that works with their hands, that does any kind of physical work in Australia, South Africa, wherever you are, sorry, intending to do in Australia, you need 3 years of work experience if you have a trade test, or 4 years of work experience if you don't. Okay. For trades individuals, I would say 95% of the time, you need to get your skill assessment done in order for a company to consider you for employment, simply because the skill assessment is a requirement of your working visa. Okay. Teachers, your skills assessment is not a requirement of the visa itself. It is not a legal requirement of the process. However, the schools that we work with, they do require it because it is what is needed for you to get your teaching license. So the schools want to rest assured that if they do have an interview with you, if they do like you, if they are happy with you, if they want to extend that offer to you, that you can use your teaching assessment with the job offer to get your teaching license while they go ahead and apply for the working visa. Now, a big thing when it comes to making the move is that there are cost implications. Okay. There are cost implications for this process because there are documents in terms of these assessments that need to be done that really heighten your chances of securing employment. Okay. Now, these cost implications are not a hidden factor. It's not something that we want to hide. It is not part of a secret formula that I don't even know what to say. But it is the reality of this process. You need to be in somewhat of a financial position in order to get the documents needed to give yourself the best chance moving forward. Okay. As I mentioned, the schools that we work with, there's about 400 of those schools. They want the skill assessment. They're not going to look at teachers. They're not going to consider teachers that don't have the skill assessment. Okay. There may be other ways, but it's not the way that we would be able to assist with from our point of view. Okay. When it comes to us as a company, if we represent you and assist you in the process of getting your assessment done, we do charge a legal fee of just under 26,000 Rand. Okay. Now, all of these costs and all of this information will come through to you tomorrow, but I do want to just touch on that. The reason why we would charge a fee in terms of facilitating this process is because we've got an immigration team that knows these assessments inside and out. Okay. These assessments don't just benefit you guys to get into the job market, but on the second slide, there was a word that I forgot to touch on, which is our holistic support. Now, when we look at how we holistically support you guys, it is not just important to get into the job market. Okay. We want to ensure that if you guys do proceed, you understand what options you have, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but for your future. If you are making the move with your kids, with your family, we want to ensure that we allow you the opportunity to understand what long-term looks like and how anything you do today can benefit you tomorrow. Okay. These assessments are one of those things that benefit you not just today, but tomorrow as well. Your assessments are required in order to apply for residency. So for a lot of you, there may be an option whereby you are looking at applying for residency. Australia is something you want to do long term. Okay. And if that is the case, these assessments that are done can be used for that permanent residency application. Okay. Teachers, there are two different assessing bodies. Early childhood teachers go through one assessing body, which has a cost of $1,100. Now, please be aware that should we represent you on this application, our fees are what is initially due. From that point, we do make you aware of all these third-party fees, but the third-party fees are only due when relevant, okay? The reason for this is because we want to offer transparency throughout the application in terms of you knowing where your money is going at what time, you knowing what is happening at what time, and you having control over the application in terms of being able to financially break things down in order to make this possible, okay? If we look at the full costs, it looks like something that is not achievable. But if we break things down, it becomes a lot more manageable and a lot less stressful, okay? There's a beauty in the journey itself, and I'm pretty sure I can get quite a couple of clients that can attest to that, even though these costs are something that knowing South African salaries does make it a little bit of a difficult, but it's not impossible, okay? Primary school, secondary school teachers, you have a different assessing body, and your fees for your skill assessment are $1,284. Those are paid upon submission of your documents, which can generally take between 3 to 6 months, okay? As part of that assessment, so in terms of that, while preparing the documentation, you would need to do your IELTS academic English test, which does carry a cost of 5,700 Rand. Now, we always do advise our clients that if you are preparing for this process and you are getting started, do your English test, make payment for it, and then book it in advance. The reason for that is because you will receive preparation material. And guys, it's 5,700 Rand. You want to prepare for the test. There's no need, if you are planning things, if you are worried about funds, allow us to take the worry off you so that you can focus on things like the preparation for that test. It's one of the small parts of the process that you need to physically do yourself. So we want to really give you that peace of mind in order for you to be able to do that, okay? Trades, guys, you're going to see there's 3 costs there, and you're hoping, okay, which one is for me? Unfortunately, for most of you, you have to do at least 2 of those 3. So for licensed trades, so remember I said electricians, plumbers, and air conditioning mechanics. Because there's 3 of you, there's 3 costs. Askies. Unfortunately, you guys do have to do a document assessment, a technical interview, and a practical assessment. The practical assessment is there because of the fact that you are a licensed trade. So what this practical assessment does is an assessor flies down from Australia at certain points in the year and will then book these practical assessments with you as a tradesperson looking to make the move. They will then request for you to come into a testing center, a dedicated testing center, and they will want you to do this practical assessment. They want to ensure that you're not going to drown anyone with your plumbing, that you are not going to make something hot when you're supposed to make it cold, or your air conditioning mechanics, and they're going to ensure that you're not going to electrocute yourself or others as an electrician, okay? This process pretty much pre-licenses you so that you can work under supervision. You can get a job offer, make your way across, even apply for residency directly. Make your way across, work under supervision for the set amount of hours that need be within your profession so that you can then be a fully licensed practitioner within your trade. Okay. Anyone other than those three individuals, if you are a welder, if you are a carpenter, if you are a boilermaker, a fitter, you guys just need to do a document assessment and a technical interview. Okay. Your document assessment, and this goes for everyone, even the teachers, a document assessment is pretty much a process where we need to prove to Australia that through the documentation you have, we are showing you really have the skill you claim you have. So you really are a teacher, here are your qualifications. You really are a fitter, here are your qualifications. You really are a welder, here are your qualifications. Okay. Not just qualifications, but here's the work experience. Here is the documented evidence of what I'm saying to be true. Okay. Your technical interview for trades, what this is, it's still not part of a recruitment process. It is still the verification of your skill. This technical interview that takes place is for that it's testing body to sit and have a conversation with you. We all know that sometimes documents somewhere can come from your uncle's Mikey somewhere, something. So they just want to verify that that was not the case and that your uncle's Mikey something cannot talk for you. You need to talk for yourself. You need to answer some questions. And if you're doing your work on a daily basis, guys, you're good to go. Don't stress about it. It is really just some technicalities. Okay. Practical assessment we did touch on. Now, your English proficiency test for anyone that isn't a teacher, so spouses of teachers looking to go across, anyone else applying for residency, you can do your Pearson's PTE. Now, the Pearson's PTE is a cheaper, as you can see, and it is also an easier test. Okay. Remember, as a tradesperson, they see the value in the work that you do. So the test, again, in terms of the English test, is really just there as a formality. Okay, now let's touch on what a lot of you guys are very interested in, which is recruitment. Okay. Recruitment looks different for everyone. It looks different every single time, whether we're working with the same company, whether we're working with different companies, whether we're working at the same school, whether we're working with different schools. Recruitment is unique in itself. Okay. And the benefit of working through us in terms of recruitment is we have a fantastic business development team that physically is in Australia. Okay. What our team does is they will go around from this little red dot to that little red dot to that little blue dot to all those little dots in the different places. And they go and introduce themselves to different companies, different schools, different areas, different regional governments as well. And they build these relationships and educate companies and employers on the process of international recruitment. Okay. Because we are a law firm, essentially first, and an international recruitment company second, for us it is very important that we offer the support not only to companies, but offer the support to you guys and ensure that a move or a potential move is one that is well understood or that there is also a realistic expectation of this move. Okay. Now, when it comes to teachers, we recruit on a rotational basis. So the opportunities that we have available today are not going to be the opportunities that are going to be presented to you guys by the point at which you can enter the job market. But that doesn't need to worry you in any way, shape, or form because of the high demand for educators. What I mean by that is today there may be the one little red dot that is available, but tomorrow that one is gone and the one next to it is available. Okay. So when it does come to recruitment, when we've got the documentation ready for teachers, the way that recruitment happens is that you will be asked to do an introductory video on yourself. This video will be used to send to schools within the areas you are interested in. Okay, it's not just about a spray and pray approach. We want to focus on areas that you guys would like to go to. Okay, there is a lot of this process. As much as what we can do, we want to guide you guys. We support you. We assist in the application. Okay, we are not here to drag, push, pull anyone. So what we do really is of a supportive nature. Now, when it comes to trades, there are certain industries in different areas that we assist with. For instance, we have got a partner in the Northern Territory that is very keen on electricians. So any of you guys, solar experience, the opportunities there. We have also signed two very exciting partnerships, one of which we are quite active at the moment, which is a company that is specifically looking for panel beaters, for automotive technicians, and for spray painters. So if you guys are within those areas, the best thing to do is to get yourself informed on your skill assessment and prepare for it if it is something you are open to. Okay. The reason being is, as much as these companies want to have an interview with you and have these discussions, they cannot move forward with visa work unless you have your skill assessment done. Now, when it comes to routes to permanent residency, you have essentially got three different routes. Okay. You have got the route of, if you go across on a normal working visa, you can work for the company for 2 years and then hope that the company sponsors permanent residency. This is not an obligation of the company to do so. They don't need to sponsor you permanent residency. They can also just renew your working visa. It is an expense on them, and it does give you open working rights. So it's kind of like the key to the kingdom. So it's something that is to be considered, the pros and cons. Okay. In terms of employer-sponsored routes, you do also have a regional route, a regional working route. That regional working route does, after 3 years, lead to permanent residency. Again, this is an option that the company can decide to either sponsor or not. It is not up to you or up to us to push that route. It will happen if it happens. So it's an option if it is an option. Okay. You can then also apply independently through general skilled migration. So having had done this skill assessment, if within your long-term goals it is to stay in Australia long-term, I do always have this discussion with my clients, and I explain that it is within your best interest to apply through general skilled migration if that is part of your goal. Okay, who better to rely on than yourself? You have done your skill assessment, you've got the right paperwork in place, and that is a possibility to pursue. Okay, it is one that is a little bit more expensive. However, with you being in Australia already, if you pursue the working route initially, it is one that gets you there, gets you earning Australian dollars, and makes the process more financially feasible. It has also got a lot more benefits to being in Australia in general. Okay. But again, all of this is dependent on your short-term needs, your long-term goals, what is important to you, and what you want. It's not about pushing options on you. It's about, again, like I said, the support and guidance that we can offer. Okay. Guys, I do want to say thank you very, very, very much for joining us this evening. I'd mentioned earlier that there will be an email that is sent out tomorrow that will just say thank you for joining the webinar. It will give some explanation in terms of the costs. It will also give you a direct link to me so that you can get into contact with me. If you have any questions, please allow me to be a resource to you. everybody's journey is unique. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's history is different. Um, as South Africans, we are who we are. So don't allow your decisions of moving forward to be clouded by someone else's journey. Use me as a resource. I'm more than happy to do so. Dizon and Associates, that is one of our prime important factors when it does come to wanting to make the move, is that when you do make the move, it is one that you are doing informed. Okay. So please don't feel shy to reach out to me. Ask me whatever questions you have. Let's find a way of making the move feasible for you, for your family, for your future. Okay, guys, have an amazing Easter weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed, and I look forward to getting in touch with you guys. Thank you so much.